ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم.
Glory be to Allah, all praise to Allah. There is no God but Allah. Allah is great. All power and might belong to.
Assalamu alaikum. Whoa. All right. MashaAllah. I was waiting because I thought somebody was going to open up the program, but there's no sense in you sitting and waiting and me sitting and waiting so somebody can say, here's a guy going to talk to you. So might as well get started, huh? I don't care about formality anyway. I think it's more important to get the job done, so let's get started. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasul ma ba'd. فإن استقى الحديث كتاب الله وخير هدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أبعد. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا. What I just quoted to you just now is probably what you've been listening to in the Jummah khutbah for all your life. But did you ever ask, what does that mean? And did you ever think about the rest of what you heard in the khutbah? Because depending on which country you go to, there's some other things that they do. And some of it never was done by the Prophet ﷺ. Never. Somebody just asked me a few minutes ago, in the khutbah today, you didn't mention the Khulafa al-Rashidun. And I didn't. You know why? Because the Prophet ﷺ never mentioned the Khulafa al-Rashidun. You know why? Because they existed after him. It's not wrong to mention them. It's also not wrong for me to mention all of the beautiful brothers right here in Bangalore, India, who are working with the peace conference. In fact, I should mention them and make dua for them. I'm sure they would like that. I like it. But I can't say that's the sunnah to that, can I? Can I? But we say, the first part of what I said, the best hadith, astaqal hadithi, kitab Allah. The best sayings or hadith are in this book. Is it right? Did you notice the word hadith? Some people tell you, I don't take hadith. Have you heard about this? Oh, that means they don't need the Quran either, because it's hadith. How do you know the Quran? I'm asking you a question. How do you know the Quran? Did you go to sleep one night, you woke up the next morning, you know the Quran? No. Somebody taught you the Quran. Yes? Who? Who taught it to you? And who taught it to them, and who taught it to them, and who taught it to them, and who taught it? You go all the way back. You know what you're going to find out? It came from the lips only of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Quran did not come from anybody else. Hadith can be from Omar, from Aisha, radiallahu anha. It can be from Abu Huraira, Anas ibn Malik, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. It can be from so many different people. And they say, I saw Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam We heard from Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So there could be different opinions of what they saw or what they heard. And that's good. That's very good. But there's only one source for the Quran. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right or wrong? Where did he get it from? Did he have a book? He wrote it down? Do you believe me when I tell you this? Some Muslims, not educated, thought that the Prophet ﷺ wrote the Quran. How? He said, it's clear, he said to Jibril alayhi salam, Ana ummi, I don't know how to read and write. How did he write it? They just didn't think. So who did give him this Quran? Jibril alayhi salam. Is it right or wrong? It means he sami'tu. He heard it. He heard it, yes? So when it came to him in the Arabiya, Lagu Arabiya, when it came to him, it was passed on what we call oral transmission. He heard it. That's why it's a hadith. He heard it. And he said it. And they heard it. And they said it. And they heard it. And they said it. Heard it. Said it. But Allah protected it so that nobody could corrupt it. If I recite the Quran the wrong way, everybody will know it. If I'm leading the salat and I make a mistake, they'll stop me and correct me, yes or no? Absolutely. Many times, most of the da'wah I make, of course, is going to be to non-Muslims. And in my country, most of the non-Muslims are Christians. So I read to them from their own Bible. I read to them from their Bible a little bit. And I ask them, did I make any mistakes? They don't know. They don't know. But I can read from the Quran, alhamdulillah, and guess what? I make one mistake. One mistake. They're corrected. Even somebody who's not a good Muslim, maybe he doesn't make salah all the time, maybe he doesn't fast right, maybe, he has some problems, serious problems. Still, if you recite the Quran the wrong way, you're not going to go for it. Just even if you said, Qul huwa Allahu ahad, lam yakul lahu kufuwan. He said, whoa. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. You left out Allahu samad. Come on, man, what is this? You chopped it up. So I'll add it later. No. Oh, it's all there. No, it won't go for it. They won't go for it. Even in translation, they don't want you to mix it up. Keep it close to the same way that it came. It didn't like you to really translate. I want to hear Arabic, right? SubhanAllah. So Allah, He's protecting it. فَإِنَا إِسْتَقُوا hadith kitab Allah. So anybody say I don't take hadith, oh, I thought you were Muslim. I'm sorry. It means you don't take this. But if they say, where in here does it tell you to take hadith? Did you hear this one? Where does it say in here to take hadith? Anybody know? You don't know? Huh? That's the best one. That's the best one. I don't even have to pick it up. Ati Allah, obey Allah, wa ati ar-Rasul, and obey His messenger. Quran is for who? Everybody, or just the people at the time of Sahabi? So, we take the Quran, therefore we have to know what did he say. Some logical arguments, Dr. Jafar Sheikh Idris, may Allah always preserve him, who happens to be here with us, is one of my greatest teachers. One of the main reasons I came to India, I wasn't going to come, by the way, was when they told me Dr. Jaffer will be here. I said, no way. I moved from Texas to Washington, D.C., particularly to be close to this sheikh and go to his house on Friday evenings and sit and be with him. Recently, the government of Saudi Arabia canceled his visa so he can't come back into the United States. Alhamdulillah. He's a very dangerous man, by the way. Sheikh Jaffer, he's like 70 years old, right? He's very dangerous. Me too, I'm very dangerous. By the way, do you know they took me off the airplane? Anybody tell you about this? Few months ago, I was supposed to go to Bahrain. I got in the airplane in Baltimore, Maryland, right? And I'm getting ready to go. They said, oh, sir, we have a seat in the first class. You'd like to go first class? No charge. I said, you betcha, boy. I'm big. I need the space. It's a good idea. I sat down. They said, what do you like to eat? I said, wow, what do you have? They said, salmon. We have salmon. I said, well, fish? Yeah, sure. Why not? It's good, you know. I relaxed. They're getting ready to close the door of the airplane. Once they close the door, by the way, they don't open it again. They won't do it. Just before they close the door, somebody came and told them, wait, we need somebody from such and such a seat. They went, the seat was empty. They became, oh, what's this? Where's this guy? I said, oh, he's up there. Oh, they told me to come off the airplane. They took me off the airplane. They said, do you have all your stuff? I said, of course I don't have my stuff. It's inside the airplane. They said, well, you can go back in and get it. I said, why? They don't want to tell you. We'll go back in, get my coat and my stuff. Do you have any baggage? I said, I'm going to Bahrain. Do I have any baggage? Yes, I have baggage. So they made the plane unload all the baggage and take my bags out. And after the plane left, they said, okay, you can go. No one tell me why. But I know why. I'm a very dangerous person. Allah guide them. In any case, I want to come back to this subject. That when we say somebody doesn't take hadith, but he says he takes the Quran. In the Quran, I like what you mentioned, the quickest one of all is just the fact that you have to obey Allah and you have to obey the Rasul. Did you know, by the way, that most of the ayahs like that, they say, obey Allah, obey the Rasul. Did you know there's one ayah that doesn't say that? It just says, obedience to the Rasul is obedience to Allah. Which comes opposite. Did you know that? Did you know there's another ayah that just says, obey the Rasul? It doesn't even have Allah in that part. Oops. Now there's a good one for you. How can you obey the Rasul? You don't even know who he is. And then there's another one. Do we have to pray 5 times a day? Are you sure? Positive? Any doubt in your mind? What would we say if about a person who told us, I don't pray 5 times a day? We'll say he's not good. For sure. For sure this is not a good person. Regardless of his so-called good deeds, he doesn't pray ever. Never. But what would we say about a person who told us, you don't have to pray 5 times a day to be a Muslim? Well, that's worse. Is that right? But did you know, I may be wrong, because I'm not an Arab. I have to read the Quran in Arabic slowly, and then I have to look at the English beside it to be sure I understood the way each word is used, because there's different forms of a word. Islam itself, Islam, Taslim, Istislam, Aslam, and how did it mean and what's it referred to, right? So I need to have help. So maybe you know something I don't know, okay? But just tell me which page, 604 pages, in the Arabic calligraphy, which page says Salawatul Khams? Just tell me. Which page says pray 5 times a day? None of them. It doesn't come. It says establish the Salah, no doubt about it. Iqamah Salah. Or you do zakat and pay the zakat. But does it say pray for 5 times a day? And it doesn't. It refers to Fajr. It refers to Asr. We even have a surah called Al-Asr, Wal-Asr, and one called Al-Fajr or Wal-Fajr. How do I know? And by the way, it tells me which direction to pray in here. It tells me which is the Qibla. No problem. But what time do I pray? Does it say in here? So how would I know? Can I make it up? Other people did. It's called Christianity, but that's another subject. Well, what do you do if you don't know? And then Allah told you, ask the people that know. In this book it says, ask the people of knowledge. Who had the most knowledge about Islam? Abu Hurairah or Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So you ask Rasul. But if he's dead, which he died, then you have to ask the people who were there, the people of knowledge. That's why Allah told you, ask the people of knowledge. Does this make any sense or what? Everybody with me? Okay. How about Ramadan? Quran says, you eat and drink all through the night until you can distinguish the white thread from the aswad, the black. One Sahabi got a white thread and a black thread, and he put them there by the bed, and then he waited. He kept eating and everything, he's watching, but the sun actually came up, and he's going, uh-oh, I can't see anything in here yet. It's not bright enough inside. How can I tell the white from the black? And the sun's already up, and I can't even see him. So he asked the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He told him, this doesn't mean that kind of thread. It means the black thread of night against the white thread of the morning by looking for the sun. That's it. Oh, how will you know if you don't ask the Rasul? And when you compute the zakat, this is a big job. There are different aspects of figuring out how to pay your zakat. And what about, and Allah's real clear about inheritance in here. You have to have a will. You have to write down a will. And if you haven't done so today, you need to get it done before you go to sleep tonight. Write down something on a piece of paper, even if you just say, I want to leave everything that I have to so-and-so, to the masjid, whatever. Do something. But don't go to sleep tonight without writing something down. Anyway, Allah tells you in here that you have to do that. But what's the division? How much goes to the girl? How much goes to this son? How much goes to this one and that one and so and so? How do you know? Only by the hadith. Hajj. Do we have to make Hajj? Quran said yes. But many of the manasik, the obligations in the Hajj, you won't understand them from Quran. You need to have the hadith. Am I right or wrong? فَإِنَا اسْتَقَلْ حَدِيثِ كَتَابَ اللَّهِ وَالْخَيْرُ هَدِي Muhammad. And the best guidance. Hadi from Hidayah, Huda, Ihdina. All of these related. All of them related. Guidance. The best guidance. Who would like to be guided by Allah? Raise your hand. You like to be guided by Allah? Oh, that's nice. I hope so, because every day you said Adina Siratul Mustaqim. That's what you just said. I don't know why anybody would ask for something and then they don't want it. And the best guidance is to follow Muhammad. And they say they don't want to take hadith. So they ask Allah, Adina Siratul Mustaqim, except don't guide me. We have to know the hadith. Come on, guys. You want to know what the real problem is? I'll tell you the real problem. It's not because, well, we question this hadith or that hadith. No. Or maybe this scholar, maybe... No, that's not the real problem. You want to know the real problem? Shaitan. That's the real problem. The shaitan. Because he knows if you leave the hadith, it's not long before you leave the Quran. And he knows it works because he already did it to the Christians. And they left their book and made a new one. And he already did it to the Jews, to the Yahud. They kept most of their book. But they didn't keep the original, but they kept a lot of stuff. But they ignore it. They just don't do it. And they mistranslate it because they don't... Actually, I'm going to tell you, from what I studied while I was a Christian, and even after that, I completed my doctorate after I came in Islam. I felt kind of foolish, but I wanted to complete it. Anyhow, the scholarly works today indicate that these manuscripts really that they have for the Bible are more like hadith than they are the Quran. There's pieces of it, though, that sort of looks like poetry, so it might be something. But most of what they have is what we would consider hadith, da'if, or mawdu', which means weak and fabricated hadith. So we want to be guided by Allah. The book is messenger. What's the rest of what I said? The rest of it says, the worst of all actions, the worst of all actions or deeds is to do what? Bid'ah. What is bid'ah? One of the students of Imam Jafar, Sheikh Jafar Idris, is Ali Tamimi. And by the way, they have him under house arrest, and they're going to put him, they're actually going to put him in prison forever, they said, if they can convict him. This right now. Right now. You know why? They don't like what he says. He says the truth. Anyhow, here was Sheikh Ali was telling us about this, what is bid'ah. He's from Iraq, by the way, so he knows Arabic language. He studied it. He studied in Medina. He told us bid'ah is literally an innovation, something brand new, that you never had it before. Something new to a region, new to an area. And he said, Islam, when it came to the Hijaz, to the people of the Prophet ﷺ, to them the Quran and Islam was bid'ah. Because they didn't have it before. It was new. So that was good bid'ah. The new innovation, which they never had before, at least in their lifetime, was what? La ilaha illallah. It was new to them. Everything the Prophet ﷺ brought for them was a new way to look at what they already knew or didn't know. Right? They learned many, many things. A whole new way of life. But then in the end of the life of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, came one surah, which is at the very end, إِذْ جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ, and then came one ayah in another part of the Quran at the very end of his life, Al-Yawmul Akmaltu Lakum Dinakum. On this day, Allah is saying, I have perfected your religion for you, completed my favor on you, and chose for you to do what? Aslam. Be Muslim. That's the best. And then when he says he completed it, what do you think he means? You're going to send somebody else later to check up on a few points and change it? Like Paul did for the Christians? Have a blinding light experience on the road or have a dream in the middle of the night? Oh yeah, we can throw this verse away. Whoa! It's finished. Yes or no? Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum. This is a completed deen for you guys. Finished. Not another word needs to be added to it. It's there between the Quran and the Hadith. So that means what? Anything that comes after that would be a new bid'ah. You follow what I'm saying? So Allah is bringing this bid'ah for the people so they can see something new, something good. But once this ayah comes, this means anything after this, after Prophet Muhammad, because he died right after that. It was like the very last thing which comes. Between that and the other surah which I mentioned, when you read the tafsir, you understand, because in one place it said, this is the last surah. Well, it probably was. And it said, this is the last ayah. That doesn't contradict everything. A surah and ayah are not the same thing. Anyhow, how could somebody come up later with something new and say it's okay? This is good bid'ah. When we say we're Muslim, what do we mean? It means we follow two things: Quran and Sunnah. Yes or no? Now some people are still, I know some people are still stuck in their mind, no, just the Quran. Come on, man, I don't know. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam made it clear in the hadith when he said, I have been sent with the Quran and something like it. Did he mean he had another book? We already discussed he didn't even have one book. We said that because he didn't write it. It was what was in his memory, and he was teaching it. Have you heard about Hadith Qudsi? These are sacred hadiths. This means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it, but the Prophet ﷺ is free to choose the way he wants to express what he heard from Allah. And you can't read Hadith Qudsi in your salah, but it's still from Allah. Okay, now that we established what I just said, I'm going to go back and talk about bid'ah a little bit more. Some people consider it's a good bid'ah if it's something that gets people to come and do things in Islam. I want to mention a few that I consider to be good bid'ah. And then if you don't agree with me, please help me to understand why I'm wrong. Because I'm an easygoing guy. I'm real easy as long as I get what I want. It's because I'm from Texas. Anyhow, first one I want to mention to you is the Quran. This one right here beside me. Not exactly this one, this has English in it. But writing the Quran down and putting it in a book with a cover over it was never done during the lifetime of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So putting it in a book all in one place with a cover on it is bid'ah. Is that right or wrong? Who did that? Many people say it's Abu Bakr. Do you know what really happened? The story says they went to Abu Bakr and they asked him to do it. They said, you know what, we're losing some of the people who memorize the Quran. You know, battles, old age, things like this. Plus, what we have written on it is, wrote it on. My English is falling apart. On leaves, animal skins, rocks, things like this. We don't really have it written down on one sheet of paper somewhere. And they just asked permission to do that and put a cover on it. And he said no. They asked him again. They kind of put pressure on him. They brought other people and influential, knowledgeable people of Islam came to him and asked permission. Even they had more knowledge maybe of some hadith than he did. More knowledge of tafsir maybe than he did. But he's the emir, he's the khalifa. So they had to take his permission. They had to. And they asked him again, and finally, after istikhara, he agreed, and they allowed the first ones to be assembled like that. That's the truth. He only lived a couple years, about 2.5 years after that. Did you know that? Then he died. Radiallahu anhu. And then, before he died on his deathbed, he ordered a piece of property to be sold that he had, and money given back to the Baitul Mal for what he had received as a stipend for being the Khalifa. So ultimately, he never received a real dime. He didn't keep anything that he got from the Baitul Mal while he was Khalifa. Did you know that? And the last thing of all he did, he appointed the next Khalifa. Because there was quite a discussion about who's going to be the Khalifa when he came in. A lot of people didn't want him to be the Khalifa. They didn't think he was going to have the heart and the strength to fight against some of the problems they had. They were surprised, by the way, when he became the Khalifa, because immediately he sent an army out to go collect the zakat, so some people weren't going to pay anymore. They went, whoa, all right. He's got it together. Whoa, we didn't think he had it. All right, they become happy, very happy. But so he appointed the next Khalifa. How many of you knew that? Who did he appoint? Omar ibn Khattab. Right? Now during his time, anybody know some bid'ah that happened during his time? Anybody? What? I can't hear you. Tarawih. Anybody know another one? Wait a minute. What? Wait, behind you. You know what happened? I just realized why they have those microphones out here. I can't hear up here. What did you say? Just go back to the microphone and tell me. Go back to the microphone so I can hear you.
There was a new innovation of praying Qiyam Namaz. That was 20 rakats. Making with
Well, you're talking about Tarawih. We're not talking about Tarawih. I said something else. Something else.
Women were discouraged to go to the mosque.
They were? That's the first I heard that. I'd like to read that in some authentic narration.
I've heard that.
No, but I'm saying for real, though. Anybody ever heard this one? Actually, let me tell you what I did hear. I heard, in fact, that a woman spoke back to Omar. How could she do that? If she is at home, she must have had a microphone. Okay. Does anybody know another one?
He started a permanent army for the first time.
What?
Permanent army.
Akhi?
Army.
Huh? Army?
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm talking about bid'ah. That's not necessarily bid'ah. That's a military decision. Talking about something to do with ibadah. Something to do with ibadah, worship. Anybody?
He made khutbah before Jummah. I made a khutbah pre-pon before Salah. Before Salah, before then Jummah.
Okay, the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did too, so that's immaterial.
Okay.
That wouldn't be a bid'ah. You're right, but the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also there's a narration about that. It's in the book
doing
by
tasbih on the
Jamal
stones.
ad-Din Zarabozo, he mentioned about that.
Doing tasbih on the stones, counting.
Doing tasbih on stones.
Yeah. By group, making a...
Omar did that?
Not Umar.
Huh? I'm asking about Omar. Only about Omar.
Is it that he ordered for a second azan for Jummah?
Nope. You're getting warm, though. Okay, the answer is, again, the Quran in his time. Because it comes that in each, the first three khulafa, that because the Quran really wasn't written that much, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, most of the people understood Quran only means recitation. They didn't need anything written down. They understood it and they memorized it. It was very easy for them to memorize the Quran. Very easy. The only thing that slowed them down for the Sahabi was that they didn't want to memorize it unless they were acting upon it. That was the only thing that ever slowed anybody down. It wasn't that they couldn't memorize it. They just said, I want to have it practiced in my life because I don't want the Quran to be a witness against me on the Day of Judgment. I want to practice what I preach, basically. You follow that? Okay. And that's, I'm going to move forward though because I'm going to keep the time short. I'm just going to jump real quick. Uthman, at the time of Uthman, what was any bid'ah that came in now?
The Quran was again made in the form of a book. Nine books. 9 books were made because during one battlefield, many Sahabas were
killed. Yeah.
In 25 Sahabas.
Actually, not just the fact they're Sahaba, the fact that they were people that memorized the whole Quran. They had the whole Quran. But you're right. Yeah. Anybody give me another one? Time of Uthman, something else. You have to come up here to this so I can hear you.
The Quran was compiled in Quraysh, the language of the Quraysh, and the other ones were burnt.
No, he got the right answer on the Quran, but you're close. Go ahead. Somebody tell me.
Hello. Quran was in 7 lyrics. It was composed in one of the Arabian style of writing.
Well, there is one, if you want to use the word style,
yes.
It's called Hafs. How many of you know about Hafs? There's Warsh, there's Hafs. Actually, there are 7, but those are called Sahih. Well, then there are more. There are 5 more after that, making a total of 13. Because like the Quran, like Hadith, has chain of narrators, and it's different style of recitation. And let me give you a sample of what I'm talking about. Okay, wait a minute. You're standing here. Go ahead. What did you have?
He kept one half and destroyed the other things.
Nah, that's not right. That's not exactly how it came. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. Let me give you the other one that happened. It was never 2 adans at the time of Jummah until the time of Uthman. Somebody was just saying it, but you said it for the wrong person. You said for Omar. It was for Uthman, radiallahu anhu, ibn Affan. He, radiallahu anhu, had an experience that at his time, the Muslims were really getting rich. They had so much business, so much traffic, because everybody was going to Medina now, to the city. Medina is the city. It used to be called Yathrib. Everybody's going up there because that's the new center of what's happening, baby. I mean, seriously. All the caravans and everything, they still go to Mecca, but man, there's something happening in Medina. And there was a lot of business. And you know how we are, right? We love Allah. We love to pray. We love to go for Jummah. We love money too. And he knew that they were waiting till the last minute. And some of them, they weren't coming in until, you know what? He's giving the khutbah. And he didn't have a microphone like this that he could raise his voice and everybody would say, oh, there's something going on over there. He was talking like this. That's all he had to work with. So no way they were going to hear him. So what he instituted was a second adhan. The second one was to say that the imam is sitting on the mimbar. Get your little Muslim self in there and listen. Shut down the businesses, stop the tijara, and get in there. Okay? That's what the second adhan was for. So I'm going to tell you why this is kind of funny. Because I'm in a prison, right? In the States. And I'm watching the brothers in there doing 2 adhans. Now they come in, we assemble, they let them come out for 1 hour, and we assemble, and right away one wants to do the adhan. Okay, good. He does the adhan. Pray 2 rak'ah, 2 more. That's usually the way it's done. Over here, you'll do 4 altogether. And then they want to do another adhan. Now, the adhan, if you do it slowly, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. That's going to take about 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes each time they do it. Am I right? Yeah, 5 minutes. 5 minutes for the adhan. Pray 4 rak'ahs. 5 more minutes for the adhan. How much time have I got left for the khutbah? And I told him, guys, why are you doing 2 adhans? Sunnah, brother. I said, Sunnah of who? He said, it's in the book. I said, whose book? Well, I don't know, but this is what we do. But the Prophet ﷺ didn't do it. Then you don't need to do it in prison. Well, anyhow, I'm explaining about bid'ah. This is my point of talking about these things. Because there's nothing wrong with having 2 adhans. Obviously, because the Prophet ﷺ mentioned about the Khulafa Rashidun. He mentioned about it. He didn't mention it like in the khutbah every time, but he did mention that these are rightly guided. Rashid or Rashid is guidance. These are the rightly guided Khalifa. So you can take from them. They're not going to come up with something new. And they didn't. Okay? So that's where that second adhan is coming from. The Tarawih, which you mentioned, was never established at the time of Rasulullah, but there's a reason, and he said it. He prayed all one night with them in Tarawih, prayed with them again the next night in Tarawih, and the next night they all gathered and expected it again. And he didn't come out all night until in the morning. And they were still waiting. And they want to know, oh, what happened? You didn't come back out. He said, I didn't want to do it again because I didn't want the people to think it is fard. Can I share with you something? He was right. He was right. Because his successor, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, never instituted it. Okay? And then at the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, he came in during Ramadan and at night, and he's seen everybody, 1 over here, 1 over here, 1 over there, 2 over here, 4 over there, all different ones. And you know how it is. Some people are pretty loud and others are quieter, and it would be hard to listen to your imam. Somebody else said, Allahu Akbar, you go, Allah. Oh, it's not me. Oh, sorry. You get confused, especially if your head's on the ground and somebody said, Allahu Akbar, you come up, oh, not us yet. Okay, still not us. So, I'm guessing, I'm making this up. I'm telling you what I'm guessing happened. I didn't say it happened, but this is probably like what it was. And he said, okay, put it all together, and we'll all pray together. Because he understood that there's no way you would think it's fard. Now, we never did it at the time of Rasul. We didn't do it at the time of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. I'm sure you don't think it's fard now, right? But 1400 years later, right here in India, and I'm guessing, because I wasn't here in Ramadan, but you tell me if I'm wrong, how many people showed up in Ramadan for Tarawih and you never saw them once in Fajr? Huh? Did it happen? Am I right? And you never saw them, some of them you didn't ever see at Jummah. Because they think it's fard. They don't want to miss the Tarawih. And Rasulullah knew that. He knew if he did it, they would think it was fard. SubhanAllah. But now let's jump to the next thing. After the Khulafa Rashidun, and we didn't talk much about Ali, and it's only because of time. But in his time, he did, of course, many great things. And nothing that he really added to Islam, but things that we got better understanding on from the Prophet ﷺ. Because he was a Khalifa, and he was very close because he was the son-in-law married to the daughter, father of the grandchildren of the Prophet ﷺ, and also his cousin. Not to mention he's like one of the very first people to make Shahada when he was only 9 years old. Having said that, I want to now talk about the other side of this word, innovation, the bad side. Okulu dalalatun finnar. This misguiding is into the fire, and it's talking about these bid'at which are not acceptable. But how will I, living 1400 years later, and really, I'm busy, I'm working, I got a job, or I have a business, and I have a family, and when am I going to get time to go to a madrasa somewhere and sit there and study Arabic and get it all together? How am I going to do that? How do I know what's bid'ah when I don't even know what's aqidah? How am I going to know? Okay. So, again, Allah is the one who guides us. A brother was asking me about that on the way over. We were talking about it. How to get the right kind of knowledge. Believe it or not, the Quran told you even how to get knowledge. The Quran. And it's not in the first word, iqra. How many of you think iqra means read? Huh? Guess what? Nope. It means recite. If somebody said iqra means to go get a college education, I'm sorry, man. You don't know the meaning of this word. It comes from a root, qara'a, the same word that Quran comes from. And Quran doesn't say this is a book all about philosophy, arts and crafts, is it? This is a recitation. The same Quran the Rasul ﷺ heard, didn't read, heard, and recited. Qara'a. Quran, iqra. Recite. Okay? Everybody with me? Not mad at me, are you? Okay, cool. Now, next, the Quran does teach us, though, how to get knowledge. In fact, it even tells us what knowledge is. No other religion is so complete, by the way. There's not. This is a complete way of life. It's not just a religion. It's a deen, man. Check this out. يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُمْ وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ. Allah has all the knowledge of what's in the future, what's in the past, what's all around the creation, and you have no knowledge, zero, except what Allah gives you by His permission. Is that true or false? Therefore, you can't come to me to get knowledge. You can't. You can't go to Sheikh Jafar to get knowledge. Unless Allah is going to guide you with it. He tells you in here to go to the people of knowledge. But if that's all there was, that means anybody, non-Muslim, goes up to Sheikh Jafar, he's going to be a Muslim. All you got to do is just walk up there and go, "Hi, here I am reporting for duty, sir." Okay, next, Shahada, next, Shahada. It's not going to work like that. Because they're missing one ingredient. Another place in Quran, when you're seeking knowledge, Allah told you, make this dua. Rabbi zidni ilma. Yes or no? Okay, now we understand. If I need knowledge, who am I going to ask? My Rabb. Rabbi, my Lord. Increase me, zidni ilm, knowledge. By the way, I just happen to remember about something. Sometimes we ask Allah to increase, but we don't say what it is that needs to be increased. I don't know if you do it here. When I was in Pakistan, I heard a lot of people doing this. When they say thank you, shukran, shukr to somebody, right? How do you say it? Shukr, shukran, like this? Shukriya, that's it. That's what I heard, shukriya. But they said, no, some of the Muslims now, they're kind of good in their religion, they want to say it in Arabic. They want to say the good way, which is Jazakallah. Jazakallah. The brother's correcting me. Why are you correcting me? Jazakallah. I left something out, didn't I? I said, may Allah increase you. In what? I didn't say. Jazakallah. What if somebody said, Jazakallah, didn't finish it, and then he goes over here and he said, Adhab. Punishment. Oh my God! I hope you're not. A'udhu billah. When I hear somebody just say Jazakallah, I say, finish it. I want to know what you said. Otherwise, I'm going to say, A'udhu billah. Jazakallah khair. And if you want to say it, by the way, one of the hardest things for somebody like me to do is to put my own kids in a Muslim college studying Arabic language. You know why? It's real hard when your kids come up and correct you. I got this one just last week from my little darling that I watched her be born, and she's saying, no, Dad, you pronounced it wrong. No, Dad, it goes like this. And I'm looking at her like, Jazakallah. She said, Dad, it's Jazakallahu khairan, which means there's no limit on the end of it. It's infinity. And to a jama'ah, Jazakumallahu khairan. And that's from my own daughter. I just thought I'd pass that on. That's my dalil, by the way. How do I know if something's a good bid'ah? Well, most things which are bid'ah mean really something bad. Something bad. But there are some that are good, which we mentioned, and some that are needed, which we mentioned, some that are questionable, that we didn't really get into, and then there are some that are absolutely bad. But because we don't really have a lot of time, and I don't want to go through the list and upset anybody, I don't want to lose anybody out of here today. Go away and say, I'm not going over there. He said something. In our Tariqa, we do that. I don't want to hear that. Okay? I want to keep us all together. I do. So I'm just going to give you the rule, the same rule that came to me when I was a baby. I was a baby in Islam 13 years ago. I'm only 13 years old, by the way. Kind of a big beard we had for 13. But exactly how it came, the one who brought me to Islam, he said a statement that is so easy for somebody like me to understand. Just in general, how can I know? Because, by the way, some of the scholars, they're not real scholars. I don't want to use the word alim, because alim means he has knowledge of Islam. But some good people, good intention. Some people have some knowledge but don't understand what they got with it, okay? Used to say things like, automobile, haram, haram. Radio, bid'ah, haram, haram. Huh? Airplane, haram, haram, bid'ah, bid'ah. They did that, yes or no? Yeah. They look like fools today, don't they? But at the time they were, you see that little piece of metal with the wheels coming by? Haram, brother, haram, bid'ah. Microwave oven. I wonder what they would have done if you showed them a microwave oven. You could put your cat in there and... I'm just kidding. Oh, I forgot. Don't do that in India. Some of these people, that might have been one of the gods. Anyhow. Put my God in the microwave. Anyhow. Alhamdulillah. I was riding in a taxi today, and they had one of those little, I don't know what it is, sitting there on the thing. I said, what's that? He says, it's one of the gods. I said, this is your God? He said, yeah. I said, he's kind of moving around on the dashboard. You better give him a seatbelt. I shouldn't do that because some people, you know, that would get all upset, but it just strikes me funny. The thing that my friend told me that really helped me to understand the beauty of this deen of Islam. He said the general rule is in two parts. that anything that's in the dunya, which is regularly daily life, for you will be halal. This is not just about bid'ah, it's about halal and haram actually. But anything you want to do is halal. Because Allah said it in the Quran, on this day I've made all things good for you. Tayyibat. As long as you don't find anything in Islam which said this is haram, then you can do it. So if you're not sure about something, just check. Did Islam say, don't eat khanzir? Don't eat pork? Yeah. Okay, I can't eat it. Simple as that. But did it say anywhere that I can't touch a pig on the head? I don't want to touch a pig on the head. But did it say that? No, it didn't say that. So if you feel like you need to touch a pig's head, you're not going to go to hell for that, okay? Inshallah. They do stink, though. I don't want to be close to them. But I'm just saying so we understand what's halal and haram. There is a big problem with that in some people. And what is a bid'ah? A bid'ah, for us, what we're worried about is something haram. If it was never done by the Prophet ﷺ, and it was never done or mentioned in Quran, then we're not supposed to do it. Isn't that true? Except when you come to this rule. This doesn't apply. They never had glasses like this, did they? Is this haram? Is this a bid'ah? No. Because at the time, you have to understand, the Prophet ﷺ used different things to drink out of. He used every conveyance of travel that they had. What kind of vehicle do you have? A camel? He rode the camel. Did he ride the donkey? Himar? Did he ride the horse? Hassan? Did he? Okay. So we can ride anything because he rode anything. Is there anything he said you can't ride on? Can you remember anything he said you don't ride? What? Travel the best way you can. Oh, there you go. You don't even have to listen to what I just said. That's better yet. Listen to Prophet ﷺ. What about food? The way we process food. Some people said literally the microwave might be wrong because they didn't have that back then, and maybe you're nuking the food, nuclear stuff. We don't know what's in there. You know. They got excited when the microwave came out. Even Christians. By the way, the Christians have the same problem we do sometimes. Something new comes out, haram, brother. Anyhow, what about television? That comes with something new every day, doesn't it? Even an old television gives you new stuff that you'd never heard of before. I remember, I'm old. I remember when anybody was gay, they were happy. Enough about that. I want to stay on my subject. I'm not good about that. I wander in my mind too much. But I want to go back to that one more time. So the rule is, if it's anything in this dunya, then you have to have an evidence in Islam for it to be wrong. Otherwise, it's okay. That's one side. What's the other side? If it's ibadah, if it's worship, if it's a way to try to draw yourself closer to Allah with something organized that you can teach other people to do and you do and practice it together, then it's haram. Unless you can find an evidence for it from the Quran and the Sunnah. Two simple ways. The dunya over here is one thing, but ibadah is over here. This, invent a way. Go be Benjamin Franklin and have a good time. But don't do that over here. Because that's what other people did. The people of Ad and Thamud and the people that have gone by. We can name them out. Bottom line is they made the same mistake. They were given the message, La ilaha illallah, but when they invented something in ibadah, it began to take them away. Is it true the people of Nuh, alayhi salam, erected statues to look like the people who were the righteous people, the good people before them. They said, these are good people. And they would admonish their children. You see that? That was so-and-so. That's so-and-so. You see him, Sheikh so-and-so? He was a good man. You need to be good too. So when they grew up and they had kids, they said, you see that? That's so-and-so. You have to be good like he was good. And this went on until somebody was saying, oh, if you need anything, you pray to so-and-so, and that's how you're going to get it. Whoops. Whoops. And they began to worship the statues. In Islam, we know there weren't any statue worshippers until that happened. And this brings the wrath of Allah, the ghadab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The worst kind of condition you can be in is to make this kind of shirk. Allah hates it. He's not going to forgive it. So that's very important for us to know, not to play with that. Now I want to come back to what somebody asked me a little earlier about, or mentioned it, I think, about using tasbih. Tasbih. You know the beads on the string? Huh? How many of you think it's halal? How many of you think it's haram? Ooh, if we take a vote, you lose. But we're not going to do that.